And so I think that this actually everything actually falls under the heading of destruction of human civilization and also transgenetic manipulation. So why don't you begin and tell us about the children?
From my side, I can add the topic that they are doing heavily trauma-based mind control programs all over in the Western world, and it's you no Western country is talking about trauma-based mind control. They maximum say, well, there was a kind of MK Ultra program, but it's over now. And no, it's not over. The opposite is happening. They are doing immense kind of research. They are using enormous amounts of smallest children and toddlers for research again in every Western country. And the worst thing is that no one is talking about. Um, I I established now we are establishing the network website traumabasedmindcontrol.com, and it's amazing that we as concerned mothers have to run this website and no one else is doing it. So I think that says everything you can say to this topic. So how comes that Petra, me, Annette are running the network trauma-based mind control, and no one else worldwide is doing it?
No
It's
one,
amazing.
no one has volunteered to help.
No, it's not. It's not about volunteering, or it's not about helping. It's the amazing point is that we are running the network, and there is no network for trauma-based mind control. There are quite a few networks for ritual abuse, but that's just one point, one step within the trauma-based mind control program. But so no one is daring to talk about trauma-based mind control, and that's worldwide. And that's quite amazing and even shocking, no?
Well, yes, it is, and I think that may represent an intrusion of electronic mind control. Um, because there are a lot of there are things people just won't talk about. They won't talk about conspiracy.
And there's so many people that don't even know about it.
Yeah, and
Yes.
they don't want to, and they don't want to know. That's.
Yeah, I think fear is a not very big factor.
Can
A
I have
lot of
some paper?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who don't want to know because they're in denial.
I wish I could bring my ex into this somehow or other, and have people talk to her and find out what's going on in her mind space. I mean, as far as I can tell, Obama is in there telling her what to say, or somebody like that, all the time. The way I've described it is that we're in parallel universes. There's a wall, glass wall between us,
Yeah.
and on her side everything is rosy. I mean, there's a lot of problems, a lot of terrible stuff. She's getting versets done all the time in the hospital where she worked, and she's retiring. But there's no putting it all together. It's like everything's okay. Only thing, everything is rotten. And you, Ed, who thinks there are a lot of problems, are crazy. That's kind of the way it goes. I don't know
Yeah.
how. I mean, and it's a sort of thing like a detailed conversation, analytical conversation might come up with an answer or pathways. But what happens if I try and get into that? I'm accused of hammering on her. You're hammering on me again. And it's always, it descends into a personal thing. You're hammering on me. And it's not like, we should try and get the world into a better shape before our grandson, is eaten by it. Um, so that's kind of where what my limited understanding, is at this time. So it seems to me we need to get numbers. We need to actually get numbers, large numbers of people who are involved in this, and how to recruit people. Uh, who you have to bring them up from coma to sleep, and then wake them up. I mean, it's really something. Now, Linda, you have a lot of contacts, right?
People tell me that I do.
Yeah, and Linda is electrically sensitive, so she doesn't have a computer. Linda lives by aluminum foil, right?
That's about the size of it. Let me correct you on that. I do have a computer, but I packed it up and put it away years ago because, again, of so-called electrosensitivity, which is more appropriately part of the technological tyranny and abuse, technological abuse that we are all subjected to. Assault.
Yeah. Now, one thing
That's
about
right. I found
what
a
happened,
lot of protection through the use of aluminum foil from microwave.
but it doesn't work for a lot of people who are targeted. It doesn't work. I mean, it just doesn't.
It may work for some of them.
Well, the last one I was talking to, it didn't. And I don't see that it's stopping scalar waves. What can you, Europe? What can you tell us about scalar waves and stuff like that?
Andrea is under massive attack
Okay.
of the and she's actually working with aluminium foil now, and she has very good results with it. But when you're under severe attack, then you're so attacked that even the aluminium foil doesn't work properly. But
Now,
Andrea knows more about it because she is attacked. So Andrea?
Yeah, there are several strategies what you can do, and you have to change also the strategies. What I can recommend is to do to take some magnesium um, as a drink or something like that. Your body needs magnesium. Do you understand magnesium?
yes, that's
Okay. Okay, good. And that's something general you can do. What's also important, Derek had quite several talks with Solaris Blue Raven when she was at Misha's Johnson Hangout. Um, she's also recommending that you should try to change your own frequency because they attack you on your special frequency and your personal frequency. And if you're trying to change your frequency, or if you often change the frequencies, it's quite hard for them to attack you on this kind of regular basis.
how do
Is
you
that
change your?
understandable? For example, it's you have a different frequency. If you're listening to very loud hard metal music, you have a different frequency as if you listen to classical music. That's just a small kind of frequency change. Or you can do it with food, or you can do it just mentally, of course, without anything else. And within this kind of frequency, for me, it's quite easy. I started to use a lot of healing stones, but not just a small one, but I'm using 3 to 4 kilogram big ones, really huge, or even 7 kilogram ones. And there it came out that Shungit is very helpful for these um, microwave things or scalar waves. And also the golden obsidian is a perfect stone. The golden obsidian is perfect because it centers you. So it's very hard for them to attack you. And partly, I know it sounds silly, but and we laughed a lot, Solaris, Blue Raven and me. She recommended to really take it in your bed. So I'm sleeping with my golden obsidian, and it's as huge as a football. When I'm sleeping, I'm taking the stone into my bed,
Mm.
and it's really help. So this I found out as help. Then of course water, but there you have to take care that they didn't put into something the water. So you have to take care that not that the water is not, how's it called, aufgeladen mit Elektrizität, Anna, was heißt denn das?
Electrical charged.
Okay, thank you. Because
Because
we found out,
sometimes they even charge water electrically. I don't know how to
yeah,
describe it in English. So that's when you use it, that it could bring more harm than then it can release the pain. So it depends. If they manage to enter into your apartment, it could be that they prepare the water. But if you can be sure that they can't enter into your apartment or they didn't do this before, then of course water could help if you keep it running over your head, over your whole body. And someone else suggested what helps him was that he stopped thinking uh, inside in this future or backwards. He was just staying in time. He said that helped him a lot.
By
So
just
not thinking
taking
about
right
what I'm going to do next, what I'm going to do tomorrow, or what I did in the past. Just try. It's very hard to do it, but you have to concentrate a lot. And so when you concentrate, you stay in another frequency, of course, and so you control your mind a lot, so the attacks are not so severe then.
yeah, yeah. And if you immediately start to rewrite the program because they are attacking you because they want to write inside your mind a kind of program, and you have to, when you're attacked, you have to mentally just rewrite it. For example, that sounds very silly or funny, but they always want they always or sometimes they tried to break the connection between Petra and me, or even me and Annette, and then you get some kind of silly or strange ideas. Well, Petra is not a good one, this and that. And if you just rewrite it, they have no chance that they can manipulate you. And this is also what Solaris Blue Raven recommends, that she says rewrite the program, rewrite. Whatever they,
spontaneity, all the time.
and it's really working. And of course, when you're lying at the floor because you have so heavy pains from being attacked, of course, it's a bit too much to say now you rewrite it, but you can learn it step by step within the months or the week. So it's really possible that you can do it.
Now, could you teach this class by Skype? Teach us how to do that.
Um, if I would have to think how I do that, but it's just mentally that you say, but I will think and I think yes, but I have to prepare something for that, so
See,
I can be very precise then.
this is a way we can reach out to TIs with this, and also give them the information on trauma-based mind control at the same time. Because basically, what we're trying to do is get people to be aware of trauma-based mind control. Is that right?
Yeah, because I think that's the heart of the problem, because um all the guys in the powerful position are trauma-based mind controlled. So they are programmed to be like this. What we are seeing now, the results having our politicians, or even our scientists, even our physicians, even our university professors or mass media, in the key positions, they are all trauma-based mind controlled. And so it's important to see it, and then you will recognize, well, that's true. And you even see then what kind of programming they have received in their own childhood. And then you understand why they are doing it. And when you understand why they're doing it, you can do something about it, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. So so this is maybe something we can offer in a sense as a training program. And this
Yeah.
is this to bring others in. The TIs, by and large, I find are only are primarily and almost in so many cases only interested in what's happening to them.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
we're offering something to their system of obsession, maybe we can sneak a little trauma-based mind control info in there with that. I mean, this is
Okay.
this. I think our problem is we've got to get a lot of people working together on
Mhm.
on an abstraction on the level that we have to on the business of destruction of human civilization and the human genome, because that's what we're dealing with. But we have to go at it piecemeal in many cases.
Yeah. Mm. I mean, what we were thinking and rethinking over the last weeks, um, all over again, Peter and me was okay. What kind of what's the matter with those in power? Who is behind? Who are the puppet players? Because our thought was maybe it's more efficient if we could find out what really hurts them, who are doing all this, abusing power and so on and so on, um, building up, establishing police states all over the world. So if we would better know how they are working within their mindset, what are definitely their aims and goals and how they want to realize it, we could maybe cut them off the way quite much better. That also was our idea.
Okay, Deborah Hamilton is on, and we've got Petra, Andrea, and here we have Ilona, also Karen and Linda. Is everyone? We're talking about trauma-based mind control. Okay, so we're talking. Can we ever get from somebody with some level of power to tell us what happened to him, how he got traumatized, how trauma-based mind control worked on him? Do we have these case stories? We need a few of those.
Okay. I mean, quite a few of the Rothschild family offspring spoke out about it. Um, then there are brilliant interviews out, um, conducted by Miles T. Johnston. The Basis series. You get all the information. Actually, of course, you have to sort out, but it's and years before even there were several from Katie O'Brien, Arizona Wilder. Um, I always forget the names. There are so many who spoke out. Um, it's no problem to bring a so-called list, and even the of some offsprings of the Rothschild family did.
Mm. Okay, and with Misha Johnson, where do we find this information?
Um, on
Just
part in the, partly on our network website,
okay.
and partly at YouTube. If you put into the phrase super soldier or ritual abuse or trauma-based mind control, you will get tons of interviews and documentations about it. You just have to be careful because there's a huge confusion going on with the terms ritual abuse and trauma-based mind control. So some are talking about ritual abuse, and for them it's trauma-based mind control is included. Some are talking about mind control, and they mean also trauma-based mind control. So then there's even the term torture-based mind control. What, in my opinion, um, precisely describes the situation. It's trauma based on torture to control your mind. So we are talking about this that the children are getting tortured. They are getting artificial personalities. um, total mind control, but not just one personal. One child does not have one single personality afterwards, but quite a few personalities. So they can change within their mindset to use different personalities,
Multiple
and
personalities.
therefore it's done. And this is not just this doesn't work overnight, as you realize quite at the first sight. So the children have to get tortured for years. And that's the point.
And we are in contact with some former children that were trauma-based mind controlled with a lot, really a lot, thousands of splitted personalities, and
Yeah.
some step forward, and Andrea actually worked with them and found out something about the programs that they were running. There are so many kinds of programs, so Andrea's planning to put all the programs together and publish them so that everyone can read about it and maybe find out what kind of program was or is running on them. And the interesting thing was there was one person, her name is Erin, and when we talked to her, she split it into so many personalities during the talk, always with um, different voices. Her look totally changed. Even we know children that changed, where even the colors of the eyes changed when
Huh.
they switched into other personalities.
Wow.
How
And the
much?
whole look of the person changed, the voice changed, so it's not just like it's kind of schizophrenia. It's more than that, because they even look different, they talk different, they write different, the voice is different, and they look sometimes older, younger, and even the eyes change. So this is important to know. It sounds
Yeah.
creepy, but this is what we witnessed so far.
Yeah.
Do you have videos of that, of the change?
No. No, but there are quite a lot of videos out at YouTube where you can see that. But we didn't ask for
At
permission
people
to.
call it, in YouTube they call it, they are reptos, but we think no, they are not. It's a kind of disinformation. They just switch personalities. And so even with Andrea's child, who is torture-based mind controlled, she made some photographs of him, so where you can easily see from one second to another how he changed. You can even see, you don't need to hear it, you can see within 2 seconds. You make a lot of pictures and you can see how he changed from one second to another, how his appearance changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where do they do this? Do you know?
Where are they doing this?
Yeah.
Where?
Okay.
And
They do it worldwide. Just talking about the Western world, and they have centers, of course, where they are specialized on that. We here in Vienna have a huge center for that, with specialists for more than 100 years, because Sigmund Freud, the famous psychoanalyst who has founded it, actually, he's Vienna born. The same situation in Germany, with this kind of psychiatrical tradition. They just jumped into the trauma-based mind control research 150 years ago. Then we have centers, of course, England. I don't have to tell you. England is also enormous. Trauma-based mind control is done enormously, because so that's why you hear about these pedophile scandals. And they are not. It's not just. I'm sorry that I'm talking like that. Sorry, my French. But it's not that they are eager to fuck children. Of course, there are a lot of perverts who do that, but the aim behind it is to split the minds of the children, and you need children with splitted minds because just then they are programmable afterwards. And sexual violence, sexual torture is most efficient to get this kind of personality splits.
Wow.
And you can read that in every scientific literature. It's written by psychiatrists. It's no secret. Everyone knows it. And the pedophiles are just a cover up because, of course, I mean, a child it's who's raped, no one is allowed to rape a child, of course not. But the goal behind it is to produce this kind of personality split, and then you can program them quite easily. So of course England is highly doing this kind of bestial research or programming super soldiers, but also Scandinavia. No one would think about it. Scandinavia has is also very interested in this kind of um, research, and they're also doing it for at least more than 70 years now. And most of you know Dr. Rauni Kilde, um, and she was the mind control specialist. She was a pioneer in this kind of work. And in my opinion, as far as I did my research, she also could have been programmed as a child herself because when she grew up, the Nazis were there, they occupied Finland, and she grew up in near a programming site. There were some physicians out of the SS who were also working in Uala. This is the city where she grew up, and but she was killed now. We cannot ask her. We cannot ask what she knows about. But I think she knew about it quite. I think that's why she was killed because my opinion it was also that she would have told something about torture based mind control also. But so they're doing it everywhere in Russia. They're doing it in former Yugoslavia. They're doing it, of course, in Italy. We have their reports for ritual abuse, also in France, in Spain. So in Australia,
It's
they're, they have thousands, 100,000 of reports. It's done everywhere. It's just that no one looks behind it.
can I ask
Oh,
can I ask you something? Is this
yeah.
kind of the same type of thing as the Manchurian soldier?
Yes, exactly. It's the same kind of thing with one difference. The Manchurian soldier, as far as I know, was programmed as an adult, but in reality, they start when the child has to be 2 years old. Then the first personality split has to occur, and they start programming on a daily basis when the child is 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
And all
and
of
it's
these countries are involved in this? All of these countries are involved in this?
yes, and they're exchanging their results. We found out that there are not many programmers. We found out that programmers, like the Nazi doctors Mengele, Aribert Heim, um, Yusuf Ibrahim, and so on, they 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 did not they were prepared for this role as children themselves. So it's not it's you have to think it's not we always learn in the mainstream media, well, a child is raped, the mother, yeah, well, the mother is drug addicted. It doesn't happen to your child. It's just the children of the lower soc-
And the
societies. But
poorer
it's true.
families are the ones that are addicts and so on.
Yeah, it's not
I
true
understand.
because the Freemasons, the bloodlines, they are the rich ones, the Hollywood stars. They are programming or they are letting to program their children as well. So partly the children are prepared for the role to be a programmer later on, or to be a Hollywood star later on. Um, We got to know a lady at Misha's, for example. Her name is Saliniki. She's a healer now, but she told us she was trained to become a Hollywood star. And it was so funny within the conference, um, because she was really sitting like a Hollywood diva. She was sitting there like a diva, talking loud like a Hollywood star. It was amazing, yeah. And she told us, "Well, I'm programmed for that. That's why I'm behaving like this." And what you have to know that there are not so many programmers, to come back to the point of the question. So they are connected on an international basis. They are sharing research things. They are traveling. They are traveling around. Some even now are programming children in Austria or in Germany, what's quite near, but also in America. I found out that some of the older programmers that were involved in our case, in the case of my son, they were also recognized from American victims that as their programmers. That you must imagine. My son is now 7 years old, and their 40 years old, 50 years old said, "Well, no, I recognize this person. It was also involved in my programming and in my trauma-based mind control programming." It's
Did they,
amazing, no?
did they take your child away from you?
Yes, they took him away because we found out definitely too much. He recognized so many involved physicians, involved psychologists. Some he
That's
was
why they
able.
took him away because he recognized the physicians and the psychiatrists.
They
Yes,
take a lot of children.
and and he was able to tell me too much. He was able to show it to me. He was 2.5 years old when everything broke out, and he was able. We were used to use kind of children language dictionaries with pictures inside, and he just took the dictionary and pointed at a picture and said, "Mommy, what is that?" In his language, and I explained, and then so he explained me most partly things, but of course not that scientifically, but mostly within flashbacks. So there was some trigger, some kind of trigger, and all of a sudden he was within the situation, he was within this pain, he started to shout, to cry, to shout, "No, let me, don't do this to me." And it was horrible because there was nothing. It's like you sit in the kitchen, and all of a sudden it starts. And so I found out that it helps him a lot when he's able to tell me what happened, and step by step, very with lots of love, very patient, patiently, and step by step he was able to tell me so much. So we find out too much about this crime, and it's
Basically, he was reliving the situations.
yes, yes. And I'm so lucky that I studied comparative literature, so I'm quite good at words. I know what someone wants to say, or so we were a perfect team. And also he was, of course, he was also interested to get to know why, what was happening. And for example, we saw a children movie just at home, and there was how's it called, it's called The Mole and the Frog, the story. And the mole has a car accident, and when he after the accident, he's thrown out of the car and he's lying on the street. And then in the film, there comes out of the body of the black mole, there comes out a white mole in these animation films, meaning that his soul is leaving his body. And and my son pointed at it and said, "Mommy, what is that?" Me too, at daddy's house. Me too, me too. And so he knew this society. going out of his body, and he wanted to know what is this, because for
Out of
him,
out of body experience.
yes, out of body experience, what is typically for
I
as a
thought.
reaction. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go on. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, sorry. This kind of out of body experience is typical for this kind of crime, because on one hand you have to be dissociated, so um out of the body experience, and they are doing a lot of um near death. They are bringing the children quite often into near close death experience or near death experience, and it is said that they're doing it for several reasons. Partly they're doing it to because they are overdoing the torture, and they're about to lose the children. This can happen, and many of the super soldiers are saying no, they're doing it because when they bring you into this near death situation and fetch you back, with every near death situation, the child gets more, or is activating his or her psychic abilities. So they are always bringing the children into these near death situations for this reason.
Oh my.
Maybe there, yeah, and maybe there are other reasons, but these two I know. I don't know everything, but these two reasons I know for sure. And my son was very interesting what they are doing, what he wanted to have explanation. And I found out whenever he was able to talk about the things, he was so released, he was happy, he was because I explained him this and that, and he was very confused because they told him that's normal. It's normal that you have to drink blood. It's normal that you are raped.
Oh
It's
my
normal
God.
It's normal that you are getting waterboarding. They love to do waterboarding because of this clear, close that experience. He had to eat faces. He had to drink urine. He had to do how's it called? Swallow vomited things. Also from others. They love to do it, and then they tell the child it's normal. You have to do it. It's normal. They're doing electroshocks with them. Partly they are hanging the children at the kind of, I don't know, at the wall, and they are hanging there for hours. They love to do that kinds of things with heat and with freezing temperatures. That they love to change it, and they're telling the child it's everything normal. And one most important ingredient, I was told, and I believe this also because my son also told me, while they are doing all this harm on the children, they are mocking about the children. They are laughing at the child. So one is standing there torturing the child, and I don't know, 3 to 30 are around the child, and they're laughing to the child while the child is in his pain, in his fear, in his torture. And this, I was told, is a is an important ingredient
To break
that
down.
you really split the personality definitely.
And these people are devils.
Well,
No,
and
they are programmed themselves. No, for me they are not the baddest, the worst ones, because they are programmed. They have suffered nearly the same in their own childhood. For me, the really worst are those who do not have had to suffer anything and are not helping. They're looking the other way. They are saying, well, it's not my child, so I just don't touch this topic or whatever. But most of them who are doing these crimes on children, even physicians, or lawyers or Freemasons, any kind of, or politicians, they had to suffer the same thing like my son. And it's not just a single event. That's also that's one of that's that's really the most cruel thing. It's not just, it would be enough for the rest of your life if you would have to suffer it once, but they have repeated sessions. They have to suffer it again, 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 again. until they are 13 years old. So they are suffering, I don't know, every single month, once at least, or abroad for baby prostitution. They always have to be tortured to keep up the willingness of the child to obey, because it's all they are
Breaking
not
the
allowed
spirit.
to get the free will.
They're breaking their spirit.
Yes, the spirit, yeah. The spirit, the soul, the heart, and the will. They're breaking more things than the spirit, but also the spirit, exactly.
Wow.
Children. We think they tortured them. It's not exactly described within the documents, but one mother spoke up and said, "Oh, you're coming again. What you're doing is torture. Please stop it." So we think they did something like this, but they only reported about their scientific research. So it seems that they tortured the children, and they only were looking for high sensitive, mentally able um, children who got um, tortured, and then they gave them a pen, and they had to write down what they experienced. So it was a kind of near death experience, and then they took them back, and then they had to write down something. So, and the youngest was a baby of 9 days old, what we found in the documents. And the baby was able to write. So whatever is happened to the near death through the near death experience, they connect somehow to their soul that is older or whatsoever. We don't know exactly what is going on, but they gave some kind of messages to them. The messages were not mentioned in the documents, only that they only described what they were searching for. They wanted to prove that the soul is much older and that you can connect to higher sources to get information from another dimension, maybe, and that the children afterwards got even more power, more kinetic abilities, more mental abilities. And the youngest, what was mentioned, was about 4 years old. No, the oldest was 4 years old, and the youngest was only 9 days old. So this even happened in the early 1800s. And now we talk to a survivor from the Thule Society. I don't know if everyone is familiar with the Thule Society.
No.
It's a secret society. Even Hitler is said to was a part of the Thule Society, and we think within Europe, the Thule Society still runs Europe, and they are known as a very occult society. They do very strange things, and they have a lot of programmers there, even diabolic things. And we found a survivor, because usually a lot of children don't survive this kind of torture, what they are doing. And she described that her father and mother throw her in a bathtub and drown her. So she got unconscious. And when she woke up from her unconsciousness, she had to write down some things as well, and she was not even in school, so she couldn't say exactly how old she was. She said maybe 3 years old, and then she had to um, um, write something down. She said she wrote something down in not really human words. It was something different, but they demand her to write something down, and that they forwarded the documents to the leaders of the Thule Society. So this is interesting as well, because there we have not only documents, we have a living victim actually who describes exactly the same without knowing those kind of documents that we found from the early 1800s.
I have a question.
Yes.
For the lady who told me earlier about how they had tortured her son, did
Andrea.
Andrea, are they still doing that with your son, or has your son been able to withstand it now that he knows a little bit? How is he reacting to all of this after having communicated with you?
Um, I'm allowed to see him officially. I'm allowed to see him every 2 months for 2 hours under supervision, and quite often, or most of the time, even the youth welfare department are trying that we see each other just every 4 months for 2 hours, or even longer in longer distances. And I saw him latest in August, and there they just showed me the child. And after he had received sensory deprivation, um, all in June, he was very, how's it called? Very awake, very quite sportive, and in August, all of a sudden, he was totally dissociated. He was talking to himself. He was like first signs of autism were there, and he was switching personalities, of course. But when he had the feeling that no one is watching him, he totally went into a kind of inner world that didn't exist. He was talking to himself, and even we played quite wild. We were fighting. We were pretending to do martial arts because he is 6 now. And within this within this fighting, he just was. I was losing him because he went into this dissociated state. Can you imagine? And this is this is a sign for sensory deprivation. And over the summer, they did it to him, and and so he's ongoing this kind of torture, and it exactly refers to the kind of programming menu, because it's written down what you have to do. You have to do this when the child is 4 year old. You have to do that when it's 5 year old. With 6 you do that, and so on. So it's a curriculum. It's a known curriculum.
Hmm.
I have no words to say. I just find I'm just blown away.
Stunned. Now I think about electronic mind controls all the time, and that does seem to be people are talking about that. And I'm wondering at this point if all of the discussion of electronic mind control, EEG heterodyning, is to screen this trauma-based mind control. The other thing is, well, we know there's Imagineering with the alien experiences beginning in 19th alien abductions. This is almost certainly electronically induced EEG heterodyning, but I would think that there's obviously a link with the electronic impositions on the mind with these people or children who have been trauma-based mind controlled. But do you know anything about that?
Um, in what terms that you say that the children are getting programmed via electronical mind control,
I would
or
think that if anyone is being controlled or programmed, I think it would be the children. It's quite clear to me that a lot of people are, I get it myself, electronically mind controlled. V2K, whispering subliminally with your own voice in your head.
I just wanted to know one thing. Was this mind control over children going on during communism?
Well, it's going on all the time. It's been.
Yeah, it
a
was
lot.
going on with the former DDR. I mean the Socialist Democratic Republic of Germany. Germany was splitted. So in the
Yes.
east part, and of course in the east part, it's communism there.
Yes.
But what we found out is even more strange because it seems like it was a project that was established for, they thought, like a 40, 50 years, under knowledge, not only of the Russians, under guardianship of the English, the French, the American, and the Russian and German government.
Wow.
So it was a big project. They completely shut a part of Europe. They closed it. They kept the people imprisoned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they're not able to leave. Only the high-ranking um, people were able to leave. So the others were in a big open-air prison, and they did a lot of research there. They took the children there as well. So everything that they are doing now within the Western world and what they're doing to the children, they did it there. They even pushed it further than they did it 150 years ago. So, and there were different kind of programs, some with grown-ups, some with children. And Mapel, she is from the east part of Germany, so she was programmed there as well. And and they had some kind of program with prisoners, people that were imprisoned. It was like they did during the Nazi time, the kind of sick experimentations that they did.
What
They
is
did it.
what is the
Sorry?
purpose of all of this? Where are they going with all of this?
Following directions without thinking.
Is it because they're trying to make robots out of people?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Yes. You know,
Mind control slaves.
But following the government.
this is
And Andrea always mentioned that programmed robots are programming robots.
well. This is. I'm going to put my 2 cents in. This by my study is essentially we're being treated like a herd of animals. We do things to animals. We experiment on them. Camel prods, open up the mother and have veal. This is another species, large brain hominid, that is doing this to us. I mean, this makes perfect sense. And the end game is they dominated the world during the Ice Age. They were on the surface, and they had to go underground when literally and figuratively when a glacial meltdown occurred because the animals, us, were rebelling and they want overt control again. It's very straightforward and it makes perfect sense. And the circumcision of the Jews is, I think, part of this. It took a long, long time to observe the fact that that made a big difference in society by just chopping off a foreskin. And that brings, do you have many contacts with this trauma-based mind control with Jewish people?
Andrea has actually.
Okay, I don't know if I did get, yeah, of course, this kind of circumcision is part of a brief step of trauma-based mind control programming, of course, but very interesting and also internationally known in international scientific literature. Trauma-based mind control is done hand in hand with Jewish physicians, Jewish psychologists, and psychologists that are quite out of the Nazi elite on or quite of or different countries. So at the top, they're all doing these crimes hand in hand. But nevertheless, this Jewish circumcision is, of course, a pre-step of trauma-based mind control programming. Did this answer your question?
And Abraham was actually Akhenaten. There's a book by the two rabbis in French who studied this, and Akhenaten was not human. He was a large brain, a long brain hominid, and his daughters, they look like their pretty faces on a blimp. So that's the connection and the exodus and all of the other stuff that didn't happen. That's the direct connection with another species. A species that if you wear a mitre, you can pass. Put on your mitre and go into Starbucks and nobody notices. Okay, I'm gonna.
Just one last question, please. How do they choose a child? Because there are a lot of orphans. I don't think they take all of them. We know some orphans that seem quite normal. What makes them decide which child to choose or which one not to choose?
Okay. This is quite scientifically proved now, because a lot of material is about this topic, which kind of child to choose. Um, First, they take this. They love to take highly sensitive children with a lot of abilities or even psychic abilities. This is group one, I would say, actually. Um, Second group is children. If you just if they just want to transfer energy out of them within rituals, they prefer blonde children with blue eyes and very how's it called, bright skin,
White skin.
um, white skin. Yes.
Yeah, very light
Um,
skinned,
yeah.
pale.
Yes. This goes back to Aleister Crowley, who said if you sacrifice a male, intelligent, loved, blonde, blue-eyed child, this gives you the highest energy level. If you sacrifice this kind of this child, you know. Um, this is known, and to be able, because he said you cannot, not every orphan is that's feeling the right, because they need children that have the ability to dissociate. If the child or the toddler is not able to dissociate during the torture, meaning going out of the body immediately, they are dying. They cannot survive. No adult could survive the cruelties those toddlers have to survive. And so this is the recipe. And these children are, how's it called? They are eager to get these children, because this is the basis that they can start to build a maturing candidate.
Wow.
Okay.
They take very high intelligent children as well, to program them as physicians, as scientists, as politicians. So they're looking for these children as well. And what happened to my son is what seems to be that it's kind of my lab going on as well. I'm coming from a family with alien abduction background, even when Ed don't want to hear something like this. So there is definitely alien abductions going on in my family. And so they took my son because of the family history. He was taken by the government, and they keep him hostage in Malta. This is an island in the south of Europe. You know, the Knights of Malta, right?
Yes, yes.
So to keep him hostage, even when I have sole care and custody over my child, they took him away. I'm not allowed to enter the island, or I will be arrested. And so even so the Knights of Malta are even involved into stealing special children, and they look for my lab children, so re-abduction of alien abduction background children.
What?
So maybe they try to get some kind of information from them, because within my family with the alien abduction, we got trained by whatever it is, if you call it aliens or um, species from another dimension or whoever it is. So we got trained as doctors, as healers, as mediums, And I think they want to find out something about their technology, about what was going on, what they taught us, what they told us. So there's definitely some research. There's research program going on there as well, and it's very well documented through the entire world. This kind of re-abduction by governments.
When what was the earliest time that there was alien abduction in your family?
Back in 1930, 35 maybe.
Okay. Who was that? Who would that have been? Can you say?
So far as we know, maybe even my grandmother seemed to be abducted, but the only one who started to speak up inside my family, who came out with her story, was my aunt.
And when did she come out with the story?
She came out at the early 90s, like 1992, 1993.
1990. Okay.
There was a small time in German history when they allowed people to talk about it. So there were some kind of TV shows going on, and there were a lot of victims that came out and spoke up. So she was one of the best investigated alien abduction cases in the European countries,
Okay.
and very well documented, because she had there was a UFO landing space in her backyard that was investigated. They found some kind of radiation there. So there were some witnesses who reported exactly the same that she saw, and but they sent her to Switzerland to get deprogrammed, because it was that she remembered something, but not everything. So the German government officially, now they deny it. They say no, it never happened, but we have the documents. So they brought her to Switzerland because there were some deprogrammers. So they put her under hypnosis, and so she was able to reveal everything that happened to her. And so she found out it went back until she was a toddler.
Okay. That was your aunt. Is that correct?
She was
This
what?
was my
She
aunt.
was a toddler.
And after my aunt came out, my mother stepped forward as well, and she came out with her experiences. And so they started to investigate my family, because it's going on through families. It's going on maybe for generations. So they always look for the children and their children.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
What it sounds like to me is that everyone who is in control in politics is a Manchurian soldier.
I think that's true.
I think that
Definitely.
it sounds to me like there are aliens who are controlling all of us. That's my, that's what I'm
But I'm
deducting.
saying
Yeah,
it's
it seemed to be what I can say from my family is it seemed to be a little bit different, because my aunt described another species than my mother described, but my mother was born 8 years later than my aunt. So it seems, and I talked to some people that were in my age, so and they experienced another species. So, but it's very similar, that it seems like they change every few years. They change to another species. I don't know if they appear in another form,
They
or
might
if they change it, if there are some species out there and that they maybe say, okay, now it's our turn. Now we take the others, and um, now we abducted them. So I'm not quite sure, but what we found out is that people that are born between 1970 and 1973 seem to be in the same alien abduction program. So about the training, about the species, about the experiences, it's pretty much the same. And that people that are in my mother's age, they experienced similar things like she did. So, and sometimes the species changed during the years. So when you even had a contact with someone when you were a child, it changed when you became a teenager, and then it changed again when you're grown up.
Do you remember what you said about the children having split personalities and changing physically appearance? Maybe these aliens
Yes.
are able to do the same.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so.
So it might be the same aliens, only with different disguises.
Well, I think there are no aliens. I'm going to throw this in, whether that we're dealing with another species, and that everything is set into our brains to confuse us. And obviously, this is the case. But this is obviously something we're going to have to go into in great detail. There is, with the electronic mind control, they're talking about molding of memories. So we don't really know what's in our head. Certainly with the supercomputer of 1962, that's when the major alien abductions began. And it's entirely possible that someone can be tampered with so that they think that something happened to them many years before that, but it didn't. It was placed into their head. So this is a lot to look into. I think the road to aliens, to extraterrestrials, is the road to death. Because what do you do with something that came across 1,000 light years? You know, you really can't cope with them. Something with that much advanced technology to have actually done that. But the things that I'm talking about, the cryptoterrestrials, you can deal with a shotgun. It's that simple. And it's the same thing. If you shoot at a demon, what happens? Nothing, because it's not there. Everything basically is to confuse us. Okay.